Good morning and good afternoon to everybody. To assure the quality of sound as an attendee, you will be automatically muted upon entry. Please do not unmute yourself unless the moderator invites you to do so. If you wish to speak up or address a question to the host, use the meeting chat box. That will be the way of the communication of all other participants. And please state to whom you are asking them. Make sure to type in your also your name and company when you're using the chat box. Please send your questions privately to the moderator, Mr. Alex Nestor.
Anna, thank you. Do you guys hear me? Okay. Yeah. Okay. From me, warm welcome to our honorable guests, dear participants, friends. It is my honor and a great pleasure to be the moderator of today's event. And I can tell you that this event is unique in a way because it's the first time we are doing such a webinar in Bulgaria about Canada. And just to let you know that the interest was huge. There are more than 100 companies registered and close to 200 participants. So this is, I would say that this is a great success, or I can say that it's a very, very beautiful news, as some exotic and famous politician on the south of the Canadian border often likes to say. I just like, before I give the floor to our honorable guests, I would like to say a few words about Canada, which I don't know if most of you know, but Canada officially became a country in 1867, which was actually 153 years ago. And what an amazing journey for this country, because right now Canada is, you know, it's one of the most prosperous countries in the world, and it's a member of the G7 countries, thanks to the very hard work of the Canadian people under the well-managed democracy and democratic system. This reminds me that back in the 18th century, Voltaire, the famous French writer and philosopher, he mocked Canada by saying that Canada is a wasteland and just a few acres of snow. In other words, what he meant is that there is no economic value in Canada, and this happened during the French and English War, which lasted 7 years. So right now we can say that he was totally wrong, and Canada is actually one of the best places to live on, desired place for many people around the world, and also one of the best places to do business, which we are going to actually discuss today. That's all I can say, and I would like to now turn to the Honorable Senator from Canada, Mrs. Yona Martin, and give the floor to her. Yona, welcome.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Good morning or afternoon to all. Here from my home province of British Columbia on Canada's west coast. Now, based on your introductory remarks, I should say that I was born in South Korea and immigrated to Canada at the young age of 7. And so the country that you have described through the eyes of Voltaire in the past, as well as the great participation this morning really speaks to the potential and the dynamics between Canada and Bulgaria. So what a pleasure it is for me to join you this morning, First of all, to my very good friend, and we say sort of soul sisters, but Her Excellency Svetlana Estropolsky-Stoicheva, the very strong representative of Bulgaria here in Canada. We see each other often in Ottawa, and to just all of the dignitaries and participants this morning. I can name all of you, but it would take me too much time just for the sake of time. So I wish to, first of all, on behalf of the Senate of Canada and my colleagues in Ottawa, from representing various regions that are members of the Canada-Bulgaria Parliamentary Friendship Group, to bring sincere greetings to all of you taking part in this important webinar on trade and investment opportunities between our two countries in the midst of these unprecedented and challenging times. So, of course, to acknowledge and thank the Canada-Bulgaria Business Network, the Bulgarian Small and Medium Enterprises Promotion Agency, the National Business Network, and Export Hub Bulgaria, just really coming together, bringing everyone together and co-hosting this event so that trade and investment opportunities can be discussed and that our bilateral relations can be further developed and strengthened. So the relationship between Canada, Bulgaria is an important one. And I'm sure that you are aware that earlier this year, we had the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Georgiev, and Ambassador of Bulgaria here in BC. And we had very successful meetings really from a number of different sectors, which also reinforced the potential and the ongoing strengthening of the relationship that we can see. And they were very well received as well. We saw this potential, which is the most important thing. And therefore, I think today's webinar is just really building on that and the relationship that we do have. And to me, SMEs are really the backbone of our economies and around the world. And through this very difficult period, we need to make sure that we ensure the businesses do continue to function and thrive and persevere through these difficult and challenging times. In Canada, as well as I'm sure in Bulgaria and elsewhere, small businesses make up 90% of the employers that provide a living for Canadians, and whether it's a small family-run business or businesses up to 99 employees. So I personally am not a daughter of small business, but many of my friends that I grew up with, as you know, Canada is a country of immigrants. And so from coast to coast to coast in every corner of our country, it is the SMEs that will drive the engine of our country. And so this is very important. So obviously CETA, the trade agreement between Canada and the EU, which of course Bulgaria is a part of and you led in a significant way last year, was ratified in 2017. And Bulgaria-Canada relations were also celebrated in 2016 with the 50th anniversary of the bilateral relations. So we know that there's more to do, there are gaps, and that what we're doing today, as well as what your leadership continue to do, as well as what we're doing in Canada, will help us realize this economic potential between our countries. So I hope that all of you will find today's session informative and helpful. And it's through the people-to-people relationships like all of you and those that were not able to join, but who are part of the bridge between Canada and Bulgaria. And the Bulgarian Canadian community across Canada is growing, is strong. Here in BC, I have some very good friends. I feel I've been adopted by the Bulgarian community here in BC, as well as across Canada. And we know that CETA, it is through these relationships that we will continue to thrive and look for opportunities. So I look forward to listening and to engaging with some or many of you, depending on what we pursue beyond today. And I know that together we will persevere and find our path forward. So as my colleagues and my House colleagues are in Ottawa this week. Yesterday we had quite a significant confidence vote, and I guess we're not going into a snap election, but we will focus and look at what we can do better for Canada as well. But I'll be returning to Parliament next week, and we'll continue to push the government. And we know we have representation from Global Affairs this morning. We'll hear from him, but that we will continue to support the businesses, because on the other side of this pandemic, it will be small and medium-sized businesses that put Canada and Bulgaria back on the path to prosperity. So once again, have a productive and enlightening webinar. Thank you. Blagodaria.
Thank you, Mrs. Martin, for the kind words. And during the webinar, we are going to touch more on the subject of the Canadian and Bulgarian economy and how we can bridge them together. Now I'm going to give the floor to the next speaker. Unfortunately, I have to tell you that Dragomir Stoinev, who is a member of Parliament, and also he's a former Minister of Economy of Bulgaria, and also he's a member of the friendship group with Canada, had a family problem, and about an hour ago he apologized and he will not be able to attend. So I'm going to give the floor to the Bulgarian ambassador to Canada, Her Excellence, Mrs. Svetlana Stoicheva-Trupolsky. Svetlana, please. Hello.
She's muted.
Yeah, well, I was told a few moments ago that she had a problem with the
I'm all right. Do you hear me now?
You're here. Okay, good.
Thank you, Alex, and good morning, everyone, and good afternoon for those joining us on the other side of the Atlantic. Dobar den na всички в Bulgaria. It is a great pleasure to be part of this virtual exchange of views today on how to diversify economic and trade relations between Bulgaria and Canada. And thank you to the Bulgarian Small and Medium Enterprises Promotion Agency, the Canada-Bulgaria Business Network in Toronto, a great partner here, to the Embassy, and the National Business Network, who have collaborated so well to organize this webinar. Amazing turnout today. Congratulations. I'd like to express my deepest gratitude to a great friend of Bulgaria, Senator Martin, for being with us this morning. It is 6 a.m. on the West Coast. Dear Deputy Minister Yanev, Mr. Takov, I'm so happy to be able to meet you virtually. It is also, I'd like to welcome Mr. Makeras for agreeing to be our special guest speaker today. The Embassy is enjoying an excellent partnership with Global Affairs Canada. It is fair to say that the EU and Canada are closer than ever. The EU is Canada's second biggest trading partner, and in particular, Bulgaria and Canada are friends and allies, bound together by shared principles and commitment to economic opportunity. Our relationship has been rapidly evolving in recent years. Complex and long-lasting issues, such as lifting the visa regime in 2017, have been resolved, which fostered even deeper understanding and created more opportunities to strengthen the people-to-people and business contacts. Bilateral trade volume has increased, and this significant progress generates great potential for further development. We have always strongly encouraged Canadian trade missions and business delegations to Bulgaria, as well as Bulgarian business delegations to Canada, and hopefully it will not take a long time to return to these ideas. We are not letting COVID-19 prevent us from helping Bulgarian business owners explore the Canadian market. And maybe we should start thinking how to act through virtual means in a post-COVID world. Organize possibly a virtual trade mission to help entrepreneurs take advantage of the existing opportunities. An important priority of the Embassy is to increase Canadian direct investment in Bulgaria and expand the volume and diversity of Bulgarian products on the Canadian market. especially the share of goods with high added value. And we also encourage and support the efforts of Canadian companies wishing to get a foothold on the Bulgarian market. 3 years have passed since the beginning of the provisional application of the EU-Canada Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, also known as CETA. And companies, I think, were quick to see the benefits. Many European small companies have made the jump onto the Canadian market. Knowing that tariffs have been reduced or scrapped, it's good. It helps with the company's competitive edge. EU exports to Canada, goods and services, increased by 27.2%. And throughout the past 3 years, since CETA, Bulgaria is happy to share the experience of growth of both traditional exports to Canada and the appearance of new ones. Bulgaria's exports to Canada saw a 60% surge in 2018 compared to 2017, and a subsequent 32% rise in 2019. And we expect this to be exceeded this year. And perhaps one last point, trade has taken a blow as countries around the world went into lockdown because of COVID. But we're starting to see good upticks as companies reopen and strive to regain strength and markets in the post-COVID environment. The Embassy of Bulgaria in Ottawa stands ready to do its part in helping Bulgarian small and medium enterprises build back better for post-COVID recovery and help ensure that new opportunities for Bulgarians in the Canadian market and vice versa are facilitated in the future. So our joint work continues, and we are looking forward to more business success stories on both sides of the Atlantic. Thank you.
Thank you, Svetlana. Yes, CETA definitely had an impact. We can see now that the trade is increasing both ways, and hopefully Canada is going to catch up with the other G7 countries in terms of trade with Bulgaria. Okay, now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Stamen Yanev, who is the Deputy Minister of Economy. He used to be also the director of Invest Bulgaria agency. Stamen, please.
Thank you, Alex. Dear Senator Martin, dear Mr. Marsharas, Ambassador Stoicheva, Mr. Takov, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really honored and happy to be with you together today, although only virtually. As Alex said, I used to be director of Invest Bulgaria agency, so you could understand me, and I was always involved in this kind of events where I had the opportunity to speak with the participants, see them, and somehow discuss potential investment projects. So for us currently as a government, as a Ministry of Economy, CETA is a very important instrument somehow to tackle and boost the relations between Bulgaria and Canada. But we have always seen Canada and Bulgaria as two joint players on the global market. So the synergy between this big economy and fastly moving Bulgarian economy within the European Union, I guess, is a very important factor for somehow working together globally. I would say that we have strengths, both countries, that we could use, and really Canada should use Bulgaria as an important door opener for Europe and also Asia. We have the senator who is a very important example of how some personal story could be turned into story of two countries and work on third markets. I would say that if we establish some of this triangle, Canada, Bulgaria, Europe, and Asia, we could really work very well and use all these opportunities. That's why currently, I told you, coming from the investments, my main point would be for the investments. And I would like really to see Canadian companies look Bulgaria as an instrument where they could operate on the really global market, considering that Bulgaria has a strategic location, being part of the European Union with strong relations in Asia, China, Russia, Middle East, and Turkey. Really is a door opener for different opportunities. Considering that Bulgaria is currently in top 5 countries as a financial stability in the European Union, and the potential to become part of the banking and monetary union of the European Union within the next 3 years, I guess this is also a mark that Bulgaria has a stable economy and really could be an instrument for your successful investment stories. I would say that the other strong opportunities are really related to current situation, and considering that we are among the top 3 countries with young, talented people who are basically always in the top of the charts of the competition of maths and IT competitions, really that could be an opportunity. Considering that we have a lot of IT specialists, in the current situation, this could give you an opportunity for the digitalization of your business through Bulgaria, and really use this opportunity. I will not dwell on the figures that Her Excellency the Ambassador mentioned. Say that all these figures are too modest for our great expectations and our big ambition to be good operators on the global market. So really, I consider this webinar as a first step, and as we discussed with Alex just before the start of the event, as a beginning of a beautiful friendship, and really convert into real projects and real business opportunities. So I'll stop here and just say that the next step for all the Canadian companies which participate in today's event, and I would be really happy to welcome any one of you here at the Ministry of Economy and consider your future business and investment plans in Bulgaria. I wish you good luck today, and I'm looking forward to working together. Thanks.
Thank you, Stamen. I would like to add that Stamen really, when he was the director of Invest Bulgarian agency, had to deal face to face with foreign investors in Bulgaria. He has very good experience of what the problems are and how the Ministry of Economy and the relevant agencies could help foreign investors in Bulgaria. I would say that Bulgaria, with its attractive taxation system, competitive labor, could be really a good ground to launch a business from here for a foreign investor and cover the European market. So let's go to our next guest, and this is Mr. Boyko Takov, who is the executive director of the Bulgarian Agency for Small and Medium-Sized Business. Boyko, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Nestor. Good morning and good afternoon from me as well. Dear Mr. Yanev, Your Excellency Ms. Petropolsky, dear Ms. Martin, dear Mr. Stoinev, which is not here with us, but dear Mr. Makers, distinguished guests, it is an honor for me as an Executive Director of Bulgarian Small and Medium Enterprise Promotion Agency to be a part of the organizers of this business webinar. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to our partners from Canada, Bulgaria Business Network and National Business Network for the excellent cooperation in the organization of this seminar, which will present in details this extremely important document between European Union and Canada, the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement. One of our main goals is promotion of international cooperation between Bulgarian and foreign enterprises and to assist Bulgarian companies in increasing their international sales and market shares. This support is provided through the organization of large number of events, trade fairs, participations, trade missions, networking events, business delegations, and webinars. Over the years, the agency has proven itself as a leading organizer of business events, which have brought together thousands of companies from all countries. I'm glad to share with you that in 2019, we organized online and offline events for nearly 3,000 companies, which proves that the state can be an excellent partner for the business sector. As a government authority responsible for trade promotion, the agency will have some problem with. Can
Нещо стана.
Sorry, we have a problem with.
Now we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So, as a government authority responsible for the trade promotion, the agency knows how important exactly is for the companies to find the right international markets and partners. In this pandemic situation, which has changed the business rules all around the world, I want to say thank you to all participants in this webinar today, because, dear ladies and gentlemen, you show that despite the challenges, the international business is ready to adapt to the new market conditions using the new ways of communication. Your presence here encourages us to work harder and harder to be able to present to you more positive news about the Bulgarian business environment very soon. Today's webinar is entitled Trade and Investment Opportunities, and I strongly believe that there are so many great opportunities for development of the bilateral economic relations. Bulgaria produces and could offer to the Canadian market high quality products and services, and in the same time, as a member of the EU, business here could help Canadian companies to enter the open market of the Union. Last but not least, I would like to thank heartily Mr. Bill Makers for his participation as a presenter in today's webinar. I'm very pleased to give the floor to Mr. Bill Makers. And I wish everyone a fruitful seminar, and I'm sure that the information presented today will be very useful to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Boyko. Now, one thing I would like to say is that this webinar happened because of the close cooperation between the agency, Canada Bulgaria Business Network, and the National Business Network. So we worked together, we came up with this idea, and I think that in the future we are going to cooperate even more, trying to attract Canadian business here, and in the same time to help the Bulgarian companies export and invest in Canada. It has to be both ways. Now we are going to the second part of the webinar, which is going to be very interesting, and we are honored to have Bill Makeras, who is a manager with Global Affairs Canada, and he is going to present his presentation, and after that is going to be a Q&A session. As Anna explained to you, you have to submit your questions in the chat box, and we are going to answer them in the order of arrival. So Bill, please take the floor.
Well, good morning, everybody, and good afternoon as well in Bulgaria. So we have many time zones that we're covering here. We're very happy to be here this morning. My name is Bill Maheras. I'm a trade commissioner, a manager with Global Affairs Canada in the regional office for Global Affairs based here in Toronto. Hello, Senator Martin. Greetings to Ambassador as well. So greetings to our officials, Deputy Minister. Pleasure to be here today. I am, as you can see from the background, I'm working from home. All of our staff in the regional office in Ontario have been working from home since March because of the COVID situation. I do have there's some construction going on next door, so hopefully you will not hear some of the construction sounds, but if you do, I apologize for that. It's beyond my control. This morning, I want to, if we could start the presentation as well, please, go to our PowerPoint slides. This morning, I want to give you a little bit of a sense of Canada-Bulgaria commercial relations, and I want to cover a little bit as well about investing in Canada and the opportunities for investing in Canada for Bulgarian companies. And I could say that these slides were really mostly from my colleagues in the Canadian Embassy in Bucharest, which covers Bulgaria. It covers Romania and Bulgaria. They had another event that they were doing this morning, so they apologize. We are also in the middle of switching between ambassadors. We have an outgoing ambassador, and the new incoming ambassador is Annick Goulet, Miss Annick Goulet. So she's the ambassador designate of Canada to Bulgaria and Romania. She will be based in Bucharest, and I think her official credentials will be presented soon to the Bulgarian President, Prime Minister. Next slide, please. This morning, I wanted to talk a little bit about Canada and Bulgaria. As I said, give you a little bit of an overview of the trade and investment relationship. I want to talk a little bit about the benefits of CETA, which was mentioned earlier, the Comprehensive Economic Trade Agreement, which is the trade agreement between European Union and Canada. A little bit about expanding to Canada, why a Bulgarian company should consider expanding to Canada. And just my own impression is current investment opportunities that are available here in Canada. And then happy to take any questions or discussion immediately after my presentation, or we could maybe have a discussion with all the panelists afterwards, up to the moderator. So thank you, Alex, and thank you, Matej, for inviting me to this event. Next slide, please. We have a very good bilateral trade relationship with Bulgaria. We have about almost $450 million in two-way merchandise trade. Canadian exports a little bit more than Canadian imports to Bulgaria. Our primary exports in order are mineral ores, copper, and seafood. And our imports from Bulgaria include apparel and clothing, machinery, and ores, mineral ores as well. In terms of direct investment to Bulgaria, we have, the figure I have is a little bit old, 2016. It might be a little bit, probably is a little bit higher now. But we have major investors in Bulgaria, primarily in the extractive sector. So, for example, we have Dundee Precious Metals, which has a gold and copper mine in Jelopech. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly, Jelopech.
Yes.
And then a gold mine in Ada Tepe as well. So Dundee is a major investor in the region. I've just lost the slides. I can't see the slides. So if you can put them up again, that would be great. Thank you very much. Okay. So Dundee is one. The other one is a major investor, is Trillion Energy, which was formerly known as Park Place Energy. They have a natural gas exploration project in Vranino. Okay, so those are the two major investors from Canada that at least that I know of in my post. There's probably many other smaller investors. And as I said, most of the investments are in extractive industry sector. But we know that Bulgaria has opportunities in many sectors, not just in the extractive industries. So Bulgaria, like countries like Romania and Eastern Europe, are not as well known to Canadian companies. And this is an effort, I think, where the Canada-Bulgaria Business Network can reach out and make some direct linkages and bring those opportunities to Canadian companies. Next slide, please. So we have a very modest, but a very mutually beneficial trade relationship. And Bulgaria does see Canada as an important trading partner and a source of FDI. We've seen two speakers already talk about the importance of FDI, or foreign direct investment, in Bulgaria. And we also have our economic and fiscal relations are supported by double taxation and social security agreements, which are always excellent to have with a company. And in September 2017, we signed an agreement allowing companies to participate in each other's government contracts that involve security requirements. Next slide, please. CETA was mentioned. CETA is the Comprehensive Economic Trade Agreement. It's the free trade agreement between Canada and the European Union. And of course, Bulgaria is a member of the European Union. It entered into force provisionally in September 2017. And what it does is essentially, like any trade agreement, the basic of a trade agreement is to drop the tariffs between countries. So CETA does that very well. 98% of merchandise goods tariffs are dropped to zero between Canada and the EU as part of the CETA agreement. But it does more than that. So the CETA agreement is what we call a modern trade agreement, a modern Canadian trade agreement. So the older trade agreements would just drop tariffs. The new trade agreements, the modern ones, drop tariffs, plus they include many other things. So for example, it would include investment protection for two-way investment, whether it's a Bulgarian company investing in Canada or a Canadian company investing in Bulgaria. That investment is legally protected under the agreement. Labor mobility is eased as well between the countries. So it allows Canadian professionals, executives, business people to visit Bulgaria, and similarly for Bulgarian business people to visit Canada. And then government procurement is also facilitated. So Bulgarian companies now can bid more freely on Canadian government procurement opportunities, whether it's at the federal, provincial, or municipal level. So these added dimensions to the trade agreement really make it a modern trade agreement. And it is really beneficial for Canada. And as a result, we've actually seen two-way merchandise trade, and I think this was mentioned earlier, two-way merchandise trade increased by 26.1% between Canada and Bulgaria after CETA was implemented. So in the roughly three-year period, it has increased by 26.1%. So I think that clearly demonstrates that the trade agreement is effective and it benefits both sides very well. Next slide, please. So Bulgaria exported about $109 million of merchandise to Canada, which is, like, as I said, about a 30% increase after CETA was implemented, and they imported about 105 million, which is a 23% increase, again, after CETA. So again, very beneficial. Next slide, please. This is Canada. It's a very, yeah, a map of Canada, please. Canada, a very, very large country. It is the second largest country geographically in the world after, I believe, Russia, which has the largest landmass. Can we go to the second slide, please? The next slide. It has the largest landmass, second largest landmass of any country in the world after Russia. Sorry, we just lost the slides again. Can you put them up again, please?
We have some problems with the connections, but now it's okay.
Okay. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, next slide, please. Excellent, thank you. 36 million people for the population of Canada, and the second largest country by size, as I said, with a federal system with 10 provinces and 3 territories. So provinces play a very important role in commerce and in many, many other areas like health and education. The jurisdiction, for example, for health and education is provincial in Canada. It's not a national jurisdiction, it's provincial mostly. It's a very stable parliamentary democracy, and English and French are the 2 official languages. But there are more than 200 other languages spoken in Canada. So it's a very diverse multicultural country. Interesting fact, 1 in 6 Canadians is an immigrant, and there are 200,000 Canadians who are of Bulgarian heritage, Bulgarian origin. So it's a very large community for Bulgaria here in Canada, spread across the major cities. Next slide, please. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, in terms of business climate, Canada is acclaimed by the Economist Intelligence Unit as a superior business climate. So we understand the importance of business. We've been rated the second best country in the G7 for doing business over the next 5 years. And the rankings continue for things like infrastructure, foreign exchange, and foreign trade. Next slide, please. And again, one of the top 10 countries in the G20 for business, again, Canada. I guess the Brits beat us out by a little bit in that ranking, but we ranked very, very well for this. Including, for example, next slide, please. Including, for example, the speed at which you can open a business. One of the great advantages of Canada is that you can start a business without a lot of bureaucracy, without a lot of red tape. You can register a business name in 15 minutes over the internet, and you can incorporate over a day or 2 days in Canada. So the actual process of establishing a business in Canada is very, very easy and very, very quick and efficient compared to many other countries in the world. Next slide, please. That's about starting the business. Next slide, please. And tax rates, you know, when businesses look to invest somewhere, obviously they're looking at corporate tax rates. So Canada is first in the G7 and second in the G20 among the lowest, what we call total effective tax rates for a company. Next slide, please. And one important advantage of Canada in terms of investment in Canada is the access to the North American market. If you establish in Canada, where most of the businesses in Canada are along what we call the 49th parallel. So that is near the border that runs between Canada and the United States. So if you establish a business there, you have proximity and closeness to a market of almost 500 million consumers, which is mostly the United States, but also the Mexican market. And you have a very strong integrated road, rail, and air system. So the infrastructure is very, very good in North America and in Canada for moving products back and forth between areas of North America. It's actually an incredible statistic. Every minute, $2 million in goods and services crosses the Canada-US border. Every minute, $2 million. So it's very significant. Almost $500 billion every year of merchandise trade between Canada and the United States. So that's going back and forth over the border all the time. It's among the busiest border crossings in the world for commercial trade. Next slide, please. So proximity is one thing, and the integrated rail network and the infrastructure quality is also very, very good. But Canada, through its trade agreements with many, many other countries, also provides a good area for service delivery and manufacturing. So if you manufacture a product in Canada, because of the trade agreements we have, including CETA and the new NAFTA, which is called CUSMA, and many, many other trade agreements like the new CPTPP agreement with the Pacific Rim countries, Canada, you would have access to 1.2 billion consumers worth about 41 trillion in GDP. So 44 countries can be accessed from Canada with low or no tariffs through the trade agreements that Canada has in place already. So that's another reason that Canada is a very good potential center for manufacturing, for a center to establish your business, your Bulgarian business. Next slide, please. Business travel to Canada. We lifted the visa requirements in 2017 for Bulgaria. So any Bulgarians who wish to travel to Canada for business just need what's called an ETA. It's an electronic travel authorization. It applies to visitors only. If you want to work in Canada, that's a very different story. You would need to submit an application for a work permit. But for visiting, for a business visitor, if you're an executive of a Bulgarian company, a president, owner, vice president, just to visit Canada, you just need the electronic travel authorization. That is not a visa. It is a very quick process that all European Union customers or visitors are required to go through. And as I said earlier, CETA, the Canada-Europe Free Trade Agreement, facilitates the entry of business travelers who are citizens of EU member states. So for example, if you have key personnel who are transferees, this is a person from your company who's being transferred to Canada to work there, or a contract service provider, an independent professional, let's say you're an accountant or a lawyer, an investor, a business visitor, as I said, executives or investors. These are the categories that can be facilitated with the electronic travel authorization for entry into Canada. If you have more questions on work permits, you can contact our immigration center, which covers Bulgaria. It's Bucharest Immigration at international.gc.ca. Next slide, please. So in summary, here is to invest in Canada. We have, as I mentioned, proximity and preferential access to key markets, almost 500 million people, especially the United States. Okay? Somebody also mentioned earlier the idea of a test market. Canada is a very good test market for the US. Canada is a smaller market. It's about 1/11 the size of the US market. And if a Bulgarian company wants to come in and test their product or service or technology, Canada is a good market to do it in because the market is smaller, it costs you less, and the cultures and businesses are the same, almost the same, between Canada and US. So generally, if your technology or product succeeds in Canada, it will likely succeed in the United States. So you can save some money, save a lot of time without trying to produce for a very large market in the United States. You can produce for a smaller market, test it in Canada, and then access the US market and establish the United States afterward. Many European and international companies use Canada as a test market. The other reason is proximity to the border. So we have that. Plus we have a very low small business tax rate. It's only 9% on the first 500,000 Canadian dollars that your company has in revenue. It's only 9%. This is a very, very competitive, very low tax rate for a small business tax rate internationally. We have a strong and stable political, legal, and banking system. And this came clear in 2009. If you recall what happened in 2009 in the United States, the US banking system had a lot of problems. There were brokerages going under, there was the mortgage crisis, the debt crisis. Canada did not have that. Because our banking system is very strong, well-funded, very conservative banking system, none of our banks had any problems. So as a result, we had a lot of investment from a lot of different parts of the world. In fact, Americans were investing in Canada because the banking system was so stable. The political system is stable and the legal system is also stable and transparent. We have rich natural resources. So Canada is very well known for the natural resources it has in water, minerals, and many, many other resources. A skilled and well-educated labor force. This is readily available for investors. We have among the best and highly skilled labor in the world. We are a global leader in attracting talent with our unique immigration policies. For example, scientific talent, life sciences, medical personnel. These are the skilled trades. These are the type of people that we attract in Canada. And then a very effective public, that is government-owned public health and education systems. So unlike the United States, which has private systems in place where it costs a significant amount of money to send your child to school, in Canada, you basically have free education and you have essential healthcare is free as well, offered by the government. Next slide, please. A strong R&D, research and development environment, and with innovation clusters. And you see this certainly in cities like Kitchener-Waterloo, which is one of the most innovative cities with universities that are developing innovative students, innovative technologies and products that are world brand. You recall BlackBerry. BlackBerry was invented in Kitchener-Waterloo. It's now called Research in Motion, or BlackBerry, I think. So that is one of the major companies that came from that innovation environment in Kitchener-Waterloo in Ontario. We have a high standard of living and it's relatively safe and secure. So compared to the United States, Canada is very safe, very healthy, very secure. So it's a good place to raise a family. Infrastructure, I mentioned earlier, it works. Our roads, our electricity, our internet, rail, sea and air all work very, very well. They're interconnected. The quality of the road systems, the quality of the internet is very, very good. It works well. So it allows you to do business more easily without having a lot of bumps and hiccups along the road. And as I said, diversity and many cultures living peacefully together. Over 200 languages spoken, and a city like Toronto or Vancouver or Montreal, you certainly see the way that different cultures, different religions live very, very well together. Next slide, please. Okay, this is from my own impression. I mean, this is not scientific, but from my own understanding of what I think are the immediate investment opportunities in Canada. I think there are several areas where there's clear opportunity for immediate investment by Bulgarian investors. In the major urban centers and cities, childcare and daycare. There are not enough childcare or daycare spaces available right now, and skilled staff to operate the daycare staffing is also an issue as well. But there are just not enough spaces for people. As more and more women enter the workforce in Canada, obviously, there has to be more childcare availability. So this is one area that is an opportunity. Hockey rinks, believe it or not, Canada does not have enough hockey rinks. With young girls, women playing hockey, more groups playing hockey, there is just not enough available ice. And the ice that is available for ice time is quite expensive in Canada. It's very common to pay $200 to $300 per hour for ice time in Canada. So that is a supply issue. And there's just not enough hockey rinks that are here. So that's something to think about as a Bulgarian investor. Warehouse space. As more and more, well, we are in COVID now, so more and more people are online buying things. And those things need to stay somewhere until they're shipped out, right? So warehouse space is at a premium right now. We have Amazon coming into Canada, looking and building more warehouse space for distribution centers. This is generally a very good area for opportunity. Personal care workers, as we have an aging population in Canada, and this aging population has a little bit of disposable income to be able to hire personal care workers, health workers to help them in their houses, for example, to do physical therapy, to help them with their medication and all those things that are required. Personal care workers for our aging population are in need. Affordable housing is always an issue, especially in the major cities in Canada, Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, where the cost of housing is very significant. The average house in Toronto is costs about between 900,000 and 1 million Canadian dollars. Okay, an average condominium or apartment in Toronto is between $400,000 and $600,000. In Vancouver, it's even higher. So affordable housing is a key issue. It's a key government objective. Skilled sewers and sergers. So people who have skills sewing articles of apparel together, or putting articles, designing these types of articles and sewing them are in demand. Machine operators who have skilled, I would say between 5 and 10 years of experience minimum. Operators and designers for computer assistant design, computer assistant manufacturing, and tool and die. So in the manufacturing sector, this is a shortage of workers in this area. Construction, we've been in a construction boom in the major cities in Toronto, especially in Canada, especially Toronto, for over 20 years now. So we need skilled trades, masons, plumbers, tile setters, and so on. This is an area where if you have a company that is doing this sort of work, this would be a very good investment for Canadian companies. Cleaning and disinfecting products. As a result of COVID, every time I go to a supermarket, there is no cleaning and disinfecting products that are sold out, the shelves are empty. So there's an opportunity for these types of products in Canada, I'd say across the country. In the rural areas of Canada, we still need agricultural workers and farm workers. This is an area that is short for supply, and certainly medical personnel. So doctors, nurses, technicians in the rural areas, those who live and work, stay in those rural areas, are in very short supply in Canada. Next slide, please. Thank you for your time. I hope that information was helpful. I'm happy to take any questions now, or Alex, I don't know if we're holding off questions until the end. I'll turn it back to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you for the excellent presentation. One thing I would like to say, and I believe Bill will probably agree with me, is that one of the reasons why the trade between Bulgaria and Canada is modest is that simply because the Canadian business doesn't know much about Bulgaria and the Bulgarian business doesn't know much about Canada. So here, organizations like CBBN, the Bulgarian Agency for Small and Medium-Sized Business, the National Business Network, we have plenty of work to do with our, let's say, Canadian counterparts, and to make sure that we give maximum exposure to the Canadian and Bulgarian business, respectively, about the business climate in both countries. I believe that this is going to help a lot to improve the numbers in terms of trade.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Alex. I think the key challenge is awareness. I mentioned the United States, proximity to the United States. 80% of Canadian merchandise trade goes to the United States, and the other 20% is divided between 5 or 6 other countries. So Mexico, UK, Germany, Japan, and China. So when we look at those 7 or 8 countries, we're talking about 99% of Canada's merchandise trade, and similarly investments as well. It's an issue of awareness. It's an issue of knowledge. Bulgaria, Romania, that part of Europe is not top of mind for many Canadian companies. And I think what it requires people to bring those opportunities directly to the Canadian companies and say, look, here's an opportunity in this sector, in this area. I can help you access those opportunities. So I think the CBBN plays a role here, can play a significant role here. The members and the executive of CBBN who are active in facilitating and promoting this. Because frankly, we don't have a significant commercial presence of trade commissioners like myself in Bulgaria and Romania, just 2 or 3 who are covering the whole commercial relationship. So they can't possibly deal with the hundreds of companies that might be interested. So we rely on private organizations like CBBN to help facilitate that. And we're happy to work with you in the future to bring those opportunities to Canadian companies.
Yes. I would say, I just like to use this opportunity and to say that if some of the participants here have real intentions to test the Canadian market or to get more information about various issues which are important for them regarding entering the market, they can always turn to the Canada-Bulgaria Business Network and we could help them. I have some questions here. Let's go. As I said, I'm going to read them in the order of their arrival. One is from Gulif Air, Bulgarian airline. Apply for a regular flights 3 times per week between Sofia and Toronto from the beginning of the month of June to 2021. If you need more information, I can give more details. I don't quite understand what is the question here. Okay, maybe the person who wrote it should put a little bit more clarification. I'm going to go to the next one from the International Corporate Expansion Division of NetCorp Holdings. It is said more often that not that Canada is the important. It is said more often that not that Canada is the important test ground for the US. Can we elaborate on this? Bill? I think you already touched on the subject.
Yeah, I did already kind of mention it, but I'll just reiterate that because the Canadian market is smaller than the US market, it's about 1/11 the size, it's cheaper to launch a product in Canada and test it. And also because of the similarities between the Canadian market and the US market, if the product succeeds in Canada, generally it should succeed in the United States. So that's what we mean by test market.
Exactly. It could be something like a pilot project for a Bulgarian company. There is a comment from the Senator Iona Martin. Yes, Hyundai is a perfect example of this very fact. They launched their first car and light rail in Canada before entering the US market and the rest of the world. This is exactly what we are talking about, that first they came to Canada and then entered the US market. From Kalinov to everyone, our company manufactures construction supplies, interior and exterior decorations. The questions I have are, first, what is the best way of reaching construction companies in Canada? And how can we attract Canadian investments in order to increase our growth? Bill, could you elaborate on this?
I'll answer the first part and I'll leave the second part to Matej on investing in companies. The first part really is about, depending on what you want to do. If you want to sell to Canada, if I'm understanding that you want to sell your product to a Canadian buyer, that would be the job of the Bulgarian Trade Commissioner in Ottawa or in Toronto. So you should approach the Bulgarian Trade Commission to help you access the buyer in Canada. Our job is to help Canadian companies sell to Bulgaria. Okay, so that would be the first step. If you're looking basically to find out more about Canada and the opportunities there, I would say that, and this applies to another couple of companies who've asked questions. There are a couple of IT companies who've asked questions about Canada. I'd say right now, the best way to find out about the opportunities for your company are, you could potentially contact the Bulgarian Trade Commissioner in Ottawa or in Toronto, but also because there are many, many virtual events going on now. The trade shows are going on virtually. Many of these events, in the older days, I would say, before COVID, I would say, come and visit Canada and attend a trade show in your sector. Like, for example, one of the companies is asking me about machining. You could attend the Canadian Machine Tool Trade Show in Toronto. But many of these shows now are virtual. So you can actually just register as a virtual participant and participate in the trade show virtually in your sector, whether it's IT or machinery or whatever it might be. So that might be a very easy way and cost-efficient way to find out if your product has some potential, because you can interact with the other participants in the virtual conference. Maybe you might even want to exhibit at it as well. So that could be a very cost-effective way to do it initially, in addition to contacting the Bulgarian Trade Commissioner in Canada. Now, there was a question about investment. So I'm going to turn this over to Matej, who's more of a specialist in investing in companies and providing financing to companies on that. Go ahead, Matej.
Thank you, Bill. So basically, the suggestion that we have is one can contact, while looking at penetrating the Canadian market, one can contact the Canada-Bulgaria Business Network. And I just listed below the name of Mishu Rabev and myself and our emails. So what we do is simply match the industry with members in the organization. And we go from there. Very often I will get involved, Mishu will get involved, even Alex helps from the Bulgarian side. This said, the Canadian government with the Bills Department is a great resource for information, general information. But when it comes to commercialization, we can certainly help. So I listed just below this particular question, the information as to Mishu's email and my email. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Matej. Okay, the next question comes from Diana Pazaitova from Pharma Consulting, which is a public affairs company in Bulgaria. And the question is, post-CETA enforcement, is the Canadian government considering the opening of an embassy in Bulgaria, as this might send a very strong political message endorsing bilateral relations still further? Bill?
It's a good question. Unfortunately, I can't answer it because I think that question would be better off to one of our ministers, or perhaps Senator Martin has some insight on this. Maybe Senator Martin, can I turn it over to you? Any ideas on this?
Yes, thank you, Bill. Well, I just took note of that, and it's something that I've been thinking about as well as the chair of the Canada-Bulgaria Interparliamentary Friendship Group. We know that having a presence on the ground absolutely benefits the relationship. So these are political decisions that are made by the government of the day. And so my job will be just to promise those of you participating today is, Parliament has reconvened for this fall sitting. We're grappling with a lot of current issues for Canada because of the current COVID-19 crisis. But as the co-chair, one of the things I will do is engage my parliamentary colleagues in the House and the Senate, appeal to the minister who would be the Minister of Foreign Affairs with Consular Affairs, who would make such decisions, just to begin the conversation and say, this is a relationship that is important to Canada. There's a great potential, and Bulgaria, as previously was said, is a gateway to Europe and Asia. And so this is something we should think about. So I think it begins with such conversations. So I promise to do that as the co-chair. And Bill, I was curious about the numbers you gave, because 200,000 Canadians of Bulgarian descent, that's a pretty strong number. So I thought it was a little bit smaller, but that also compels us to look at this relationship more seriously from Canada's standpoint. So those are just some comments that I wanted to add.
Thank you, Senator. I think the figure was about Bulgarians, people of Bulgarian descent, not necessarily Bulgarian immigrants. So maybe it could also include the children of direct immigrants from Bulgaria. I'm not sure exactly. That figure was taken from the Canadian Embassy in Bucharest from my colleagues there.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah,
Senator,
If I can maybe say a word.
Oh, sorry, Svetlana, go ahead.
Svetlana, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that this is also a priority in our work at the embassy to speak to our colleagues on a regular basis at the Global Affairs Canada to really show our interest in having a Canadian embassy in Sofia. And this is vital for promoting the economic and trade relations. And I think our colleagues also understand that as an important future action within our bilateral dialogue, as Canada ranks among the most important economic partners of Bulgaria. And I think it will be really great. So we are talking to our colleagues and friends here in Canada, and hopefully we will get to that at a certain point. I just also wanted to say that our estimate at the embassy is that we have about 70,000 to 80,000 Bulgarians in Canada, which is also a significant figure. And also they really help us in promoting economic opportunities and bridging the relations between Canada and Bulgaria. So very significant diaspora and very active here in Canada.
Yeah, thank you, Svetlana. I think that the difference in these numbers comes from, there are a few reasons for that. One is that probably some of the Bulgarians who live in Canada, they haven't registered with the embassy. And the other thing is, as Bill is saying, probably this 200,000 includes numbers of Canadians from Bulgarian descent, not necessarily immigrants. For me, 200,000 is quite a high number. And I think that the number which the embassy has as Bulgarians living in Canada is more close to the reality. The other thing I would like to say is regarding the embassy, and I speak from experience because I was heading a Canadian company here in Bulgaria for a few years. And in my opinion, this has been going on for a long time. And in my opinion, it's absolutely necessary to open an embassy here and to have a resident ambassador, because I can tell you when we needed help, the non-resident ambassador, even though a lot of effort was put to help us, doesn't have the same weight. And the Bulgarian government, unfortunately, it's not treating with the same importance the non-resident ambassadors to Bulgaria. So I think if the Senator Martin can bring up this issue, and also Svetlana, this will be very good and put a little bit of pressure on Canada to reconsider this. And also, I think that the positive factor in this whole thing is that the trade between Bulgaria and Canada is growing. So this might be justifiable to open an embassy in Sofia.
Yeah, so the ambassador and I are scheduled to meet next week. It's perfectly timed post this webinar. So we'll definitely discuss strategy. And of course, in BC, we have an honorary consul of Bulgaria. And through his efforts, Mr. Ronsa, I know Bulgarian wine is now being sold in BC, and it's very popular. So the presence does make a difference, and we'll make sure that we discuss strategies forward when we meet. Ambassador.
Okay, very good. I'm going to the next question from Elena Petkova. When do you expect CETA to be ratified? On January 30th, 2020, CETA has been voted in the Bulgarian parliament. In order to be ratified, a second vote should be done, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe should Svetlana, you could elaborate on this?
I'll just jump in before Svetlana. The CETA is provisionally in force right now. Provisional force means that basically it's operating as normal, but but it has to be formally ratified by the different parliaments of the European Union member countries. Canada has already ratified CETA. I think that happened about 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. So it has to go through each parliament in Europe in order to be ratified. I don't know the status in Bulgaria. Maybe Ambassador Zvolana, maybe you can give us a little bit more information on the status in Bulgaria.
Yes, I can just confirm that at the end of January the 30th, it passed the first reading in Parliament. And I really hope that it gets ratified soon, because we are one of the countries that welcomed the provisional implementation of CETA since September 27, and we truly believe that it will enhance our bilateral economic relations. Also positively influencing the global trade system development. So I really do hope, but this is the situation as our Bulgarian participant has notified. It has passed first reading end of January. This is all I can say as of today.
Yeah, I hope it's gonna happen soon. We are also, the Canada-Bulgaria Business Network, watch very carefully the developments in the Bulgarian parliament regarding CETA, and Bill is right. We are expecting ratification, but the CETA is fully operational right now. So if there is a trade between Bulgaria and Canada, CETA is enforced. The next question is coming from Zurab Persuliani. Hello, and first of all, thanks to everyone for organizing, participating in this conference. I represent Bulgarian company called Musala Soft. We deliver service fully focusing on IT software development, mostly active in the US, Western Europe, as well as local Bulgarian market. Given CETA and ease of bilateral relationship between the two countries, what would be your opinion, advice for an IT company like us to succeed in delivering software development services on Canadian market, be it public or private sector? As I already mentioned, the IT expertise accumulated on Bulgarian market is being utilized globally more and more, and I wonder where Canada stands at this moment in that process, and how could be related, and how could the related opportunities be found effectively. Musala Soft, I know them. This is an IT company. They're also a member of the American Chamber of Commerce here. It's a very good company. So, Bill,
I'm just,
can you elaborate
thoughts,
on this?
I would say, I mean, just preliminary thoughts. I mean, if you're already selling in the United States, you're already succeeding well in the North American market. If you have significant sales in the US market, that's a difficult market to penetrate for a software company. So you obviously have a niche area in the US. It's probably a similar market in Canada. So I would take an approach where I would either have your US agent, extend their territory to Canada, or appoint a Canadian agent a Canadian rep or agent to represent you in Canada as well. The process will be very similar to entering the United States. It'll be very, very similar. And the market would be very similar, although, as I said, smaller. So 1/10 the size of the US market. So if you succeeded in the United States already, you will likely do well and follow the same formula in Canada.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Another question from Plamena. In my hometown, Ruse, in Bulgaria, the town has many skilled sewing companies and which do business for the European market. How we can introduce ourselves to Canada?
I'll turn that over to Matej and the CBBN, but I'll just say really quickly that the positions that we require are sewers and sergers, so the individual skilled employees. It doesn't preempt that a company could come in and it does the same sort of work. I know that there are 2 companies that I work with that need industrial sewers. It's different to bring personnel in who have a skill to work in a Canadian company than to take a Bulgarian company and start that company in Canada. It's a very different process. But the demand is for the position, it's for the occupation, rather than for the companies in general. But there could also be a demand for the companies in general. Matej, I'm going to turn it over to you on that in terms of what the process might be to follow for them.
Thank you, Bill. Sorry, I was just trying to get my microphone going. You're entirely right. It's a conundrum because here we are in North America, and Canada and the US look alike. They sound alike. Culturally, they're not always alike. So you're in a case where you really want to address the Canadian market, utilizing some of the lessons learned in the US, as said before. But keep in mind that pretty well close to a quarter or more than a quarter is French in Quebec. So this North American French. The rest is English, made up of a mosaic of people from many, many countries. So if anything, lessons learned is utilize what you do know about the States and reconfirm it here in Canada. That's the best advice I can give.
Thank you, Matej. I also think that for an IT company, it will be difficult to penetrate the Canadian market without having a Canadian partner. And probably what they need to do is to search for a suitable partner, possible to forge a possible partnership and use the knowledge of the Canadian partner of the market and team together. That would be my advice. Another question is coming from Dimitar Petkov. I represent Essential Oils and Herbs Ltd. We are producer and supplier of naturally grown essential oils in Bulgaria. My question, or let's say proposal is it possible to organize a virtual network event where we can match with Canadian companies interested in collaboration?
I'll turn that over to the CBBN for a potential answer. Maybe there's an opportunity to do some matchmaking online, virtual matchmaking. I don't know.
Mishu, can you answer that?
Actually, I have to get going soon.
Okay, I can answer this question. Hello?
Sorry, if I may interrupt, sorry about that. I will be leaving shortly, but that's a very interesting idea. And I have some ideas in my head, so I will discuss that with the ambassador. But in the meantime, thank you so much, everyone, and have a very good day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your participation.
We have somebody in the chamber who is working on this, so I'll be pleased to. I think Ivan should be on this webinar, but I'll be pleased to connect him to Mr. Petkov. So thank you for this.
Okay, these are all of the questions we have here. As I said, if some of the companies have more questions, they can always approach CBBN, the National Business Network, the agency, and we're going to be more than pleased to help you. So I would like to thank everybody for their participation today. I think we started something good and useful, and I hope it's going to go into some business connections and some investments on both sides of the Atlantic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.